We're going to change the area of focus now and move on to a very important and very relevant topic, especially when we as an industry work with such large, valuable infrastructure projects. We're going to explore how we mitigate risks and how you can protect yourselves against those risks with suitable insurance policies. I'd like to start off, please, by inviting one of the industry leaders in the areas of risk management, Vasco De Cet, the Marina Manager, CEO and a consultant. Ladies and gentlemen, Vasco, please come to the stage.
Where is Michel? Pantaenius. Pantaenius. The Pantaenius, the other...
I hope one of you first.
Okay. Hi, Guy. Thanks to Icomia and to Vento di Venezia for hosting this event. This short overview is based on official sources and on practical experience only. Because as Leonardo da Vinci said, if you wish to discuss water, consult first with experience and then with reason. I will try to summarize. What's happened? Okay. I will try to summarize some key issues that also have an impact on the insurance aspects of marina management in terms of risk analysis, coverage and premiums, measures. Our time is marked by a climate change, shift on demand, and very rapid technological development, all of which affect the marina business. We will see the effects later, but in my view, it's better to prevent than to repair. It costs less. These are the topics that we will see then. I suggest you a lateral thinking approach. So I ask you just for the short time of this presentation to open your mind and let go of assumptions, bias, and mental habits. Based on studies carried out with the University of Genova, as Riccardo Spinelli said before, we mapped the scale of priorities for today's boaters, as you see here. As you can see, safety and security are in first place, and the human factor is in third. This should encourage us to consider these two as main drivers of marina's economic performance. And then, these two charts show you the change in prevailing wind direction and intensity. Here, the example is in the central Tyrrhenian Sea, on the other side of the Italy, but the phenomenon affects all areas of recreational boating with the due adjustment, obviously. And this chart shows you the rise in sea level worldwide from 1975 to today, with a projection to 2040. Let me point out the acceleration of this phenomenon. And this is the Mediterranean projection. As you see, relative to the global figure, sea level rise in the Mediterranean about 30 millimeters lower than the maximum, but we are speaking about 20 centimeters at the end. This is the focus. Normally, port defense structures are designed based, together with other factors, on the maximum wave height recorded in the surrounding area over past decades. However, this information usually does not take into account future scenarios, and even less so the acceleration we have just seen. Let me point out in our example, if we imagine a 5-meter historical maximum wave and the design of the breakwater have included an additional safety margin of 1 meter, we have a total height of 6 meters. As sea level rise, the waves begin from a higher base, which means that their crest reach higher relative to the top of the breakwater wall. This, over time, reduce and will continue to reduce that extra 1 meter safety margin, as you see on the right chart. Facciamo partire il video?
Guarda adesso. Ti lascio.
Ma a me non li hai mandati?
This is already happened in the 2016, as you've seen. So the breakwater will remain, but the waves overtops it. After this event, as you see in the video, about 1,100,000 euros damage after that. Instead of raising the wall, we think that is too expensive also for the checking, we choose to extend the external rock fill to dampen the wave and to move the material in the bottom outside the rock fill to reduce the wave too, after reducing the run-up of it. Changing completely topic, these data compare boating accident in USA and Europe in absolute and percentage values. It is interesting to note that in the USA accident show a clear downward trend while European figures remain stable. Fire causes are similar for DC onboard systems, but differ for other electrical causes. They are again similar for fuels and AC power. Also note the clear difference between accident in marina and those in open waters. The growing overall energy demand of modern yachts, driven by new onboard technologies and changing usage habits, require us to review existing design criteria and update the coincidence factor traditionally applied in marina electrical planning. This evolution reflects not only the higher power needs of today's yachts, but also their energy profiles marked by a longer stay at the berth and an increasing dependence on shore power for air conditioning, battery, charging, desalinator, etc. A strict, relevant, but also shared analysis of risk is essentially to correctly define insurance commitments, both for the marina and for the insurer. Emergency management requires quick decision to balance risks and contingency action in order to have a negotiable impact with the insurance company regarding premium and limits based on shared risk analysis, as I said. There are preventive measures we all know which may only need resizing of the system. And there are also contingent measures for boats. There are also a number of measures that the marina itself can adopt. Many of them are already well known by everyone here, so I do not go into detail of those, but I'd like to focus on a few specific points. First, the evacuation of the marina or of the area affected by the fire must be carefully planned in advance, and the customers must be informed about that. In many emergencies, confusion during evacuation has caused injuries and even fatalities. Boat traffic should be immediately stopped. If everyone, possibly in state of panic, you can imagine that, start their engines and try to escape, the fire could be followed by collision and other dangerous situations. The removal of vessels surrounding the one on fire is always better to trying to tow away the burning boat itself. However, this operation must begin from the leeward side to avoid spreading the flames. The boats near the fire should also be sprayed with water as strongly as the burning vessel. Otherwise, the heat radiating from the flames can raise the hull temperature to ignition point, causing structural damage also to the fiberglass. Set fire to nearby equipment, leading to uncontrolled propagation. Finally, the management of vehicles traffic within the marina, and in particular the parking and the movement of emergency vehicles, must be carried out with great care. In many cases, the evacuation or movement of emergency vehicles, especially ambulance, has been obstructed by parked cars or by private vehicles attempting to leave the area in a hurry. So this is a very important thing, and is an emergency problem everywhere, the parking of the vehicles around the area. Therefore, marina staff should be trained and equipped to intervene not as a fire brigade or medics, but with a clear and realistic function. With this, here you see an example of a marina fire team organization, tested on several occasions with role distribution and realistic objective. At the end, only 30-40 minutes resist before the arrival of the fire brigade. Just to underline that managing these aspects and implementing proposition countermeasure is indeed a factor of a business profit. Thank you.
Thank you, Vasco, for such a clear and useful indication of the procedures we should take, but also the data that will inform decisions. What Vasco's presentation clearly highlights is that occasionally something will go wrong, and that will probably mean a claim on the insurers. So I'm delighted to introduce to you one of the world's leading insurers experts in our field, Pantaenius, represented by Michelle van der Merwe from Pantaenius, to give us the benefits of her wisdom in the field of insurance. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me to speak. My name's Michelle van der Merwe. I'm the CP account manager at Pantaenius Monaco. I've been there for 18 years now and primarily look after the account management side, the quoting and the underwriting. Following on from Vasco's talk, which actually touched on some points of what I'll be talking about, I'm going to concentrate on fire and weather and rising sea level events. But I would like to talk from the point of view of a yacht and hull and liability insurance point of view, rather than the marina insurance, because we actually do the yacht part of the insurance and not the marina. I mean, obviously, marina insurers and marinas and hull and liability insurers, the best situation would be them to collaborate fully, because it's in the best interest of all parties to reduce the number of claims. And I think that there's some scope for collaboration there. Obviously, we know a high percentage of yachts have claims in marinas, and I'm here to give you a few examples of some we've come across, and then talk about how we can collaborate further on this. So, yeah, so that's just... so most of these are probably the most common risk factors that we see. Obviously, we've got the rising sea levels, which Vasco pointed out. Fire is a major one still for us, and we see a lot of fires in marinas, and obviously the accumulative risk there when the fire spreads. Mainly the fires are from electrical problems or the LI batteries, shore power, but mainly a lot of them are from the electrical problems in the yacht. And we obviously do have then the problem of sinking. So once the fire started, we do get quite a lot of claims of sinking, gradual sinking over a period of time, where yachts are left in the marinas unattended for a long period of time without being checked on, but that's another story for another day. So I'd like to briefly show you some photos of some claims in marinas that we've had, and talk about the circumstances that led to them, and then we can talk about how we can mitigate the risk going forward. Yeah, so this was a fire in a marina in Scotland. It was a 5 million motor yacht, around 26 meters, I think. And the captain had left the yacht for 48 hours. He'd done his checks beforehand, but hadn't gone into the engine room, and there was a leak in there that had been going on for some time. It started a fire in the engine room, and it just carried on burning until it extinguished itself due to lack of oxygen. And then the guy came back and found that it was actually a total loss. But from the outside, there was very little to see, apart from the yacht was much lower in the water. So that was a total loss, and that possibly could have been avoided by the yacht being checked properly prior to him leaving the yacht. This was a fire in a marina in Greece. 3 yachts actually burnt and sank completely, and several other yachts were damaged. We had the insurance on one of the yachts that was slightly damaged. But actually, it could have been a lot worse. In this case, the surrounding yachts were notified very quickly by the marina, and the captains acted quickly to move their yachts out of the way, which is what Vasco said was the best course of action, as long as it's safely able to be done. I try not to be too doom and gloom, but this was another fire in Port of Denia, and the yacht was actually on the hard in this case. Actually, this is an ongoing investigation as to why the fire started. But one of the key points of this was the fire started at night, and therefore it was slightly slower in response for everyone to arrive at the scene. So I think that probably the point here was talking point is the firefighting abilities at night as well. A lot of these things happen at night, and they need to have the same response as during the day. Okay, another fire in a marina Valencia. This was a catamaran lagoon 450. The yacht caught fire, and actually this was an arson attack. and they caught the guy. They've seen the guys being caught, and it was on CCTV. I believe it was a homeless person or something, and there are video recordings of the CCTV where he was caught actually setting fire to this. Possibly the talking point there is around marina security, but I know how difficult it is on some of these smaller yachts, how you can possibly stop people getting in like this. Luckily, the marina had very good CCTV, so. And this is the last fire one, I promise. This was in Marina Castello in Croatia in 2021. And this is where we had 7 yachts insured here that were damaged. And one of the problems was that the fire hose was locked up, so it hampered the firefighting abilities for a period of time. Obviously, it was opened, but it just delayed things slightly. So I think here the talking point would be obviously the importance of good fire water supply systems in the marina. And lastly, we're talking about rising sea levels and storm surges, and this was the famous Rapallo storm in 2018, where I understand in Carlo, Riva, Marina, and Rapallo, there was nearly half of the 400 yachts that were destroyed. The dam, I think the dam was 6.5 meters, but it was still not enough for the waves coming over. But I mean, this was an exceptional weather event. I think it demonstrates that there will always be exceptional weather events, and we just have to be as well prepared as we possibly can. So following on from talking about the claims, I wanted to just sort of touch base very quickly on some key policy points from the hull and liability insurance side. I think that one of the obvious ones is where the marina is located. Obviously, that's got to be within your navigational area on your policy, and we often get phone calls where they've booked their winter marina location, and actually that's outside their navigational area. So, but it's an obvious point, but often sometimes overlooked. Yeah, and one of the other key points is, I mean, obviously I'm talking from a point of view of all size yachts, but my speciality is super yachts. So in terms of yachts over sort of 24 meter, there would be various manning requirements on the policy. And we all know that a lot of the yachts are left unmanned, but some of them will have warranties in the policy that actually stipulates that they must have someone on board or the yacht to be checked daily, weekly, whatever the clause is, and that potentially could void a claim if it's not followed. So that's really key point on anything probably above 20 meter, you need to check your policy on that. Yeah, so I mean, following on from that's the obligation to check the yacht regularly, depending on the size of it again. Some people choose to have gardiennage, or there'll be 24-hour something provided by the marina, but it's just definitely important to check your policy on this. Yeah, and we've also got the storm and weather warnings. I know that Pantaenius are piloting a scheme where they've got weather warnings on the Pantaenius app. So you put your winter and summer berth in the information on the app, and then if a storm is forecast, then they can actually warn you about it. So I think with the advent of smart technology that these things are just going to improve gradually. Well, actually they're going pretty fast at the moment, so we need to keep up with that kind of technology, but I think it would just improve with the warnings on those kind of weather events. Yeah, I think I wanted to touch base on the seaworthiness and the gradual deterioration, and that's obviously another problem that we see in marinas where the yachts are left unattended for a long time. And the only kind of, as with the fire in Scotland, the only visible thing of yachts sinking from gradual deterioration, where they're just slowly getting lower in the water, and that could take several months. But as I said before, if they've got a good kind of marina looking after, looking around, walking around the yacht, and you've got someone looking after the yacht, then hopefully these things are avoided, but it still does happen. And also checking your marina contracts and making sure that there's no kind of limitation of liability on the hull insurer side. That's something that I think that we could collaborate more on with marinas is just the contract terms and working closer together so that if there is a claim, then everyone knows where they stand liability-wise. That's maybe a bit blue sky thinking, but hopefully at some point we'll reach that point. Yeah, so lastly, risk mitigation, which is why we're here and why we're holding this panel, is how we can collaborate further and try and reduce some of these claims that happen. I think that pre-berthing checks and regular inspection, which is probably being done in a lot of marinas already, but I think that maybe we could work together more on that and have something where the owner is more responsible for checking on his yacht more regularly, or there's something that the marina can provide as an extra service on the regular checks, that kind of thing. Everyone being ready in advance for any kind of bad weather, again, that's probably being done in 99% of the time, but having these kind of this more smart technology, I think, is really going to help in the future with storm preparedness. Vasco touched on this about the marina and crew training. Obviously, marina staff or crew on yachts are not firefighters, but there's certain kind of drills that they can perform for emergency situations. Everyone, obviously, when you've got a serious situation like that, everyone's in a big panic. But I mean, if you've prepared yourself with the emergency drills, then hopefully, they will kick in. And I mentioned here about the owner's compliance with marina environmental rules and marina safety. I think that's also something that's a bigger topic in respect of the marina's own environmental policies, but that's something that could be worked on. And then we talk about smart technology. And as I said, I think the introduction of that with some of these kits on digital guardianage and monitoring their systems at all times and with an alert on the app, I think that all of that stuff is really great and really improving can mitigate some risk in the future. Yeah, and then we'll end on some positive kind of collaboration with marinas. I think that there's some scope there to have kind of marina partnerships, like a referral scheme or something like that. We're looking at that at Pantaenius now, and that's something that maybe we can talk about with certain marina groups, some kind of referral scheme, and also having I think it'd be important for us and the marina knowing that they've got a really strong insurance partner for some of their yachts insured there and how quickly they can respond in the event of claims, which is what we are renowned for. Possible data sharing on loss. I mean, obviously you've got GDPR issues there, but I think they could collaborate more on kind of data sharing on these losses and what the cause is, and moving forward, educating and mitigating risk in that respect. And overcoming contractual challenges, so possibly having some clearer joint liability clauses. I'm not sure if that will ever happen, but that's something that would be really useful for marina and yacht insurers to have some kind of clear delineation on the liability side and who's responsible for what. And then some collaboration on environmental issues and sustainability. We know that some of the marinas in the south of France, I think, have signed up with a C Index, the Monaco Association, for measuring the sustainability things in the marina. So, and some of the yachts are signed up for the C Index with their CO2 emissions. So I think there's a lot of scope there of collaboration with some of these associations that are being set up. And then we could do like a tri-party collaboration somehow. And running like co-sponsored campaigns and training owners and crew on the environmental practices in the marina. I expect that's being done in some marinas already, but that's something to think about. Yeah, so that's the ultimate goal. Safer and cleaner marinas, fewer losses on both sides, and happier boat owners. Thank you.